weeks ago today, we were in Pittsburgh. And I gotta tell you, a Sunday morning off, when you only get 4 a year, that's kind of special. And I'm always looking on these Sunday mornings when I get up at a human hour to see if there's anyone around that looks like they're headed to worship. And I didn't have to look far. Our hotel was right across from the First United Methodist Church in the Oakland area of Pittsburgh. And as I went out of our hotel to get our car, I saw an enormous yellow and black sign. An enormously offensive yellow and black sign. And then I heard the sound system. And then I saw the vests on the people holding the sign and screaming into their microphones. Westboro Baptist Church had come to pay a visit. Understand, First United Methodist is not exactly the flagship of the Christian left. They are not that liberal. They're just decent people trying to be decent to each other, trying to treat each other well, and live out the command of love that Christ commands us to live out. But hate was paying them a visit. Westboro Baptist Church, which Baptists will quickly remind you is not a real Baptist church, has about 40 members. That's it. Mostly members of the same family. But they have become one of the most recognizable Christian groups in our land by singing the song of hate. And they sing it loud, and they have sung this song of hate at the funerals of our soldiers, at the funerals of celebrities, and most recently, of course, they threatened to sing this song at the funerals of those slain in Boston. Westboro Baptist Church sings the song of hate. It is a song that doesn't make a lot of sense. It seems to be directed at just about everyone but themselves, and it has sprung up in spite of the central teaching of the one they call Savior. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. So maybe we need to sing a little bit louder. I've been agonizing for the last few years about the church. Not Trinity. About the neighbors. About our church nationally. It is a situation that both makes me angry and afraid. Because I don't think there's a church out there that sings the song of God's love better than we do. I'm not saying we're the best. I don't even know what that would look like. And I'm not saying I completely agree with every single thing the Lutheran Church says and does. Just like you, I've got my own thoughts. I've got my own ideas. The neat thing about this place is we can talk about that. But our focus on love, our focus on the grace of God is precious. We have something to tell the world. And it's getting lost. As a lot of you know, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, the ELCA, that's us, is divided into big regions called synods. And we are in the Lower Susquehanna Synod. Now, the church was formed in 1990 from predecessor Lutheran bodies, and we're just about 25 years old now. And in that time, the ELCA, this is since 1990, has decreased in membership, baptized membership, by 20%. 19 of our 65 ELCA synods are now 30% plus smaller than they were at their inception. The Lower Susquehanna Synod, that's you and me, we are now 30 Next slide, Tracy. We're now 30.7% smaller. Good to be a leader, right? 2010 was a bad year for the ELCA. In 2010, we lost 42,000 members to death. We're hoping that was not during sermons. And death is kind of unavoidable. But we also lost 51,000 members to transfer. Now, transfer is arguably somewhat avoidable. But the scary number up here is that we lost 190,000+ members for other reasons. Folks, these are people who did not leave and go to another church. These are people who just wandered away. Wow. Now, how does this all play out locally? Well, I'm going to share some statistics with you. These are from area congregations. If you've lived around here a while, you might know all of these congregations. I'm going to show you statistics from 1990 attendance to 2012 attendance. This is worship attendance. A lot of the action you'll see in these statistics has taken place in the last 10 or so years. Now, I'm protecting feelings here. This is not to embarrass anyone, so we're using numbers instead of names for these churches. But if you want to see the names, they're on a chart in the back on the usher's table. You're welcome to take one home with you. And you can see this is all public knowledge. This is not something I stole from somewhere. Okay? So let's start with congregation number 1. Congregation number 1, in 1990, they had 228 people in the pew, on average, on a Sunday morning. In 2012, they have 107. That's a drop of 53%. Congregation number 2 starts 1990 with 303. They dropped to 154. That's a drop of 49%. Congregation number 3 goes from 122 to 73, a 40% drop. Congregation number 4, 276 to 245, an 11% drop. That one's not so bad. Congregation number 6 is the success story. They start with 120, they go to 136. That's a 13% increase, which is nice to see. Congregation number 7 goes from 165 to 112. That is a 32% drop. Congregation number 8 goes from 470 to 264. That is a 35% drop. Congregation number 9 goes from 324 to 212, a 34% drop. Congregation number 10, 506 people in the pews in 1990, 202 today. That's a 60% drop. Congregation number 11, 447 to 231, a 45% drop. And congregation number 12, again, not quite so severe, 596 to 518, a 13% drop. Again, this is not to embarrass anyone. This is to say something is wrong. Something is wrong. We have the gospel, the most precious thing on this planet. But somehow, some way, the ELCA is not singing the song of Christ's love effectively enough. And there's no guarantee, folks. There's no guarantee that we or any of the other mainline denominations, and by the way, they're all in this boat with us, will even be here in another 25 years. So, we have been trying very, very hard here at Trinity for some time now to sing the song of Christ a little more effectively. We have done this through service to youth. We have done this by raising our level of service for all of the people around us, through mission trips, through our partnership with Amazing Grace. We have done this through service to seniors, through our parish nursing program, through my father-in-law's weekly Bible study, through the ministry of Pastor Dick now. We have done this largely through you. Our volunteers, our group leaders, our hands and feet of Christ in the world around us. We have been singing the song of Christ's love loudly and effectively We're singing the song Christ calls us to sing. We've really been looking for new ways to be church in a world where the old ways of being church just aren't that effective. That's what those statistics largely show you. So where are we? Since 1990, since the birth of the ELCA, Trinity has increased in weekly attendance 35%. Put another way, in a time where a 30% drop in attendance is almost expected, in a time where a 40 to 50% drop in church attendance is not uncommon, Trinity has gone 35% to the good. And make no mistake, our ability to care for each other, our ability to share, our ability to allow more than one kind of worship service to exist in this building has a lot to do with that. We live in a world where people need the song of Christ. They need it desperately. We live in a world where if we will sing this song effectively, people will come. I'm sharing these statistics today partly because some of you have asked, in regard to the preliminary discussions of a possible renovation, have you looked at other churches? Have you looked at what other churches are doing? And the answer is yes, we have. Most of them are dying. They're not talking about something like this. A lot of them are dying. I'm also sharing these statistics with you because sometimes you come to me and you say, why do you do some of the things that you do? Or why does Michelle have some of these programs that she has? Why does the staff do things at times differently than other church staff seem to do them? And the answer is the church is dying. And we are trying to change that. But because you're here, you don't see it. And I think sometimes some of you don't believe me. But churches like ours, who are doing things a little differently, who are daring to sing the song of Christ in new ways, who are cherishing and upholding our traditions, while at the same time finding new ways to worship together, who are focusing on service, who are focusing on bringing the kingdom of Christ to the world by doing the things that Jesus did, are growing. Mainline churches who are doing what we do are growing. And some who study this stuff claim that statistically, across the board, mainline congregations doing the kinds of things we do are the fastest growing congregations in the nation. Now, I'm not sure I completely buy that. But regardless, it's good news. In other words, by finding new ways to be church, we are becoming the future. And I think if we will sing our song, if we will sing the song of Christ with our arms open wide, the future is going to be bright. But heed the words of Jesus. Jesus said in the chapter just before this one, these words, "He who loves his life in this world will lose it. And he who hates his life will give it up for eternal life." These are not just words for individuals. These are words for church. And what they mean is we have to keep reaching out. We have to keep living for others. And while no one's saying we should suddenly become financially stupid, I don't like doing stupid. I attempt not to do it, intentionally anyway. We can't just play it for survival. We can't. We can't just play it safe. I promise you, if you go to the churches around us, you are going to find some remarkable ministry. You are going to find good and caring people. But I promise you, in those congregations that are dying, you are also going to see people who have played it for survival, who have played it to keep it the same, just too much, who have not stepped out and taken some risks for the gospel when the opportunity was there, who haven't filled their lungs with air and sung the song of Christ a little more effectively and a little more loudly, and they're going down. Some of them are going down, and not with a bang, but a whimper. That's why council and I want us to consider looking at our building and perhaps making some renovations. Because we realize this is an important ministry, not just to the Lutheran Church, but to the Church of Christ in general. And in the end, the building is a ministry tool, period. That's what it is. And I really believe if we're going to preserve and build upon what we've accomplished here, we've got to find some next steps. Because what we do here on Sunday morning, it works, sort of, but I can't look you in the eye and tell you I think it's sustainable. Because I don't quite believe that. This church needs to find some time on a Sunday morning where it can sit down, people can have a cup of coffee and talk and learn together. And my gut says that this church eventually will find that time, maybe after I'm gone. But I'd really like to see this church find that time without eliminating somebody's worship service. We are called to keep singing the song of love. We are called to counter all those songs out there of hate. We are called to sing our song of love from the rooftops and sing it in such a way that people will turn and say, look at those Christians, look at how they love. That's what we've been trying to do. That's what we've got to keep on trying to do, even if we don't renovate. We have to keep doing what we've been doing and sing that song of the love of Christ. Because I'm sure God has all kinds of plans for the future of the church. But I'll tell you what, Trinity Lutheran Church, you are part of that future. You are the future. And that's what the church has always